Hello, this is Mr. Huff, and I want to go through and walk you through the dimensioning of a drawing. So starting from a part, I'm going to choose the PLTW drawing template, put in your class period. And in playing with this part, I found that it was going to work best with a 3/4 view. So what I'm choosing is to show hidden lines. I'm adding a label to it. I'm going to call this mount, and it will show the scale when I'm done. So I'm putting in 3/4, and that's going to make it easy for us to put our measurements on for this particular part. So I'm placing the base view at the bottom. We're going to project our top right and isometric. And I'm just roughly placing these. We will adjust this as we go through. Notice I am keeping a nice little border around. So I open this view and shade it because the isometric is always shaded. And I kind of bump things around here. So now I need to start dimensioning. So we're going to switch to annotate and choose dimension. You can also use your right click. So to start with, I click an edge, and I debated on putting this measurement here, but then I looked at the view above, and that shows a better profile, so we're not going to use that. Right there, that's the profile. So I'm going to use this left edge as my datum, and I'm going to go across. Notice how I'm trying to make it pick the line and not the green dots. So I'm using the left edge as my datum, and I'm going to start with my smallest measurement and work my way across to my largest measurement. And in this case, I'm using the dimensions to describe the width of the part. And again, I'm being careful to choose lines, not dots. So there we go, all the way across. I notice that whenever we place the dimension on that arc there, the extension line appears to overlap it. Now we're going to define the height for each part. I'm going to use the bottom as the datum and work my way from the bottom to the top. And if you hear started from the bottom, now I'm here in your head, that's just fine. I'm going to do a check right here to make sure this is different, and if you look, it's 0.75, so we have already described that height on the right view. Even though those are two different levels, they are the same height, so we're not going to duplicate that dimension. And now I am placing the width, and one of the things that's going to happen as I dimension these is I'm going to overlap the bottom view a little bit. I just wanted to go ahead and get all my dimensions done, and then I'll place it appropriately. So I'm just working my way across the profile here. Also, I'm comparing to the numbers at the bottom to make sure I don't duplicate anything. And there I'm debating about the overall. So to make this a little cleaner, we're going to, actually I'm just going to go ahead and dimension these. So I'm choosing the bottom edge, and then on the left side I'm going to go ahead and dimension these two because, or that first one, sorry. On this one I had to dimension this 0.75 on the left side because it won't fit conveniently over here without crossing over the part. So I made a choice to put this here so I don't have leader lines crossing across the part. So now I have defined the depth from the front to the back. And I'm going to just choose OK here. And now I want to go through and kind of tweak the position a little bit. I am going to take this view and push it up toward the top a little so that it's not overlapping so much in these areas. There, now we have a nice separation of space. And then I struggle with how to get it back into the home view. I forgot which one to click. So anyway, it's giving me troubles. You will from time to time argue with Inventor and you will lose. So now we have some radius and circle measurements we need to take care of. I've fully described the length, width, and height of this complicated part. I have selected my profiles as often as possible. I've checked for duplication. I don't want to duplicate any measurements. And now we need to look at the radius and circle measurements. So we're going to go back over here and choose annotate. So I'm going to right click general dimension. And let's start with the one at the bottom because it's, or actually no, let's start with the circles. In this case, I chose to drag the leader line up and to the left because it's not going to cross anything. On the right side, on the bottom, or the view of the front, I chose to do the radius, the larger radius above the smaller diameter. And notice I'm keeping those angle lines. I debated on this arc where to place this radius. And I finally made a decision to have it further out so I could follow that line. Even though it's crossing some other extension lines, I prefer that to dragging it across the part and across the circle leader lines. I think that looks a little bit cleaner. So there's our final part. It's all dimensioned the way it should be, and every decision I have justified. So that's all for now. Thank you for watching. Be sure and save your file names as something you recognize.